Item number SCP-4612. The object has been assigned a preliminary designation, Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4612 is contained in situ within a subterranean structure beneath Provisional Site 91 established under the Eckhart House estate in Redacted, England. The primary vault entrance is sealed and reinforced. The original thaumaturgical glyphs on the entryway, which once projected a mild cognitohazardous effect causing perceptual neglect, have since been neutralized, but are to be preserved for study. The subterranean chamber itself is constructed from stone blocks, many of which display significant charring and heat warping. Cuneiform glyphs of an unidentified thaumaturgical school are etched across numerous surfaces and are under active analysis. Foundation Archival Division, Internal Briefing. The following data pertains to file designation SCP-4612. This designation does not refer to a singular object or entity, but is instead assigned to two distinct yet intrinsically related anomalous phenomena observed in tandem. SCP-4612-A is the cadaver of a large, gastropod-analogous invertebrate entity. The organism's tissue is composed of a white, translucent substance with a highly elastic texture. Despite an estimated time of death, several centuries prior, the specimen exhibits no signs of cellular decay or decomposition. Its primary body measures approximately 10 meters in length and 1 meter in width, and is positioned atop a stone altar of anomalous load-bearing capacity. Anatomical features include 6 brachial appendages, each 3 meters long, each appendage terminating in a 10-digit hand. A crystalline structure is embedded in the palm of each hand. A flexible but damaged dorsal fin runs the length of the body. A post-mortem longitudinal incision is present on the entity's ventral side. Its circulatory fluid is bright blue and remains uncoagulated, slowly weeping from the wound. The entity emits significant and steadily increasing levels of Akiva radiation, a quantifiable energy signature associated with deific beings. The cause for this radiation increase remains unknown. SCP-4612-B is a sapient humanoid entity of average physique, distinguished by eyes that luminesce with a bright blue light. It has demonstrated potent pyrokinetic abilities and anomalous physical strength far exceeding its biological parameters. SCP-4612-B has asserted a filial relationship with SCP-4612-A, referring to it as its father, despite the profound biological disparities between the two entities. A broad historical survey conducted by the Foundation's Historical Analysis Division has identified numerous events characterized by the abrupt stagnation or regression of technological capabilities in various human civilizations. While many such instances possess conventional historical explanations, a subset remains anomalous. A correlation has been established between these events and documented appearances or iconographic representations of an entity matching the description of SCP-4612-A. Circa 2000 BCE, Sumerian pottery from this period, which coincides with the decline of their regional dominance, features renditions of the entity suggesting potential interference. Similarly, around 1100 BCE, following the conflict between Mechanite and Sarkic civilizations, Mechanite scrolls, previously misinterpreted, contain detailed descriptions matching SCP-4612-A. Later, circa 2000 BCE, the David civilization collapsed following military defeat, and archaeological excavations have uncovered murals depicting a creature identifiable as SCP-4612-A, raising questions of its involvement. Centuries later, in 4112 CE, records from a monastery on Holy Island, England, describe a demonic creature whose appearance is remarkably consistent with the anomaly. During the 14th century CE, journal entries recovered from a mass burial site in Sicily describe visitations from a spirit matching the morphology of SCP-4612, directly linking its appearance to outbreaks of the Black Plague in the region. Addendum 46122, Initial Discovery Log. Foundation agents were conducting surveillance on a person of interest, POI 461201, a known affiliate of JOI 1115, the Serpent's Hand. Agents tracked the POI to the Eckhart House estate, observing her perform an unknown thaumaturgical ritual to bypass the perceptual filter on a subterranean vault entrance. Agents pursued the POI into the chamber, discovering her kneeling before the entity's remains in a state of extreme distress. Upon visual confirmation of the anomaly, designated SCP-4612-A, the POI was detained and a request for reinforcement was issued. Mobile Task Force Gamma 13 Asimov's Lawbringers arrived 8 hours later, accompanied by Agent Rebecca Douglas, a Level 3 psychometrist. A preliminary survey of the site revealed 23 human male corpses of various ages arranged in a circle around a central altar. The remains exhibited advanced desiccation, severe charring, and partial incineration of skeletal structures. Several were dismembered via extreme blunt force trauma. Agent Douglas reported the presence of substantial psychic trauma residue permeating the site, concentrated on the human remains. Addendum 4612 D3, Interview Log Transcript. Interviewer Director Iona Varga. Subject POI 461201. Date redacted. Several months post-apprehension. We can continue this for weeks, you know. You belong to little more than a paracrime syndicate. The protocols you might expect regarding treatment of prisoners do not apply here. What were you doing at Eckhart House? I don't know much. The original master of the house, Eckhart, he was an occultist. I found a reference to his correspondence with the Wanderer's Library. I wanted to see what he'd found. I didn't know this was here. Our records show no sub-basement. How did you locate it? Surveyed the property. Used a thaumaturgic working to view what was occluded. Do you know what species the cadaver is? What species is a god? It is a non-terrestrial entity that was ritually butchered. What would you call it? An anomaly. What aren't you telling us? The librarians are allegedly proponents of disseminating knowledge. The timing, it was important. What happened in this region in the late 1770s? I am a geneticist and a xenobiologist, not a historian. However, the Industrial Revolution began in England around that time. What does that have to do with a non-terrestrial cadaver? I don't know. That's what I came here to find out. Addendum 4614, Profile of William Henry Eckhart. The occultist mentioned is believed to be William Henry Eckhart, initial proprietor of Eckhart House. Eckhart was an active member of several occult societies, including the Society of Yorkshire Thaumaturgy. He amassed his fortune through iron and copper mining, and local historians theorize he was a key investor in the burgeoning industrial movement. Yorkshire Historical Society records mention a meteor strike on the evening of September 17, 1779, which allegedly caused significant damage to the house. However, the extant structure shows no evidence of such an event. Eckhart was last seen entering his library that morning and was declared deceased. Following the incident, no historical record mentions the subterranean structure, or SCP-4612-A. Local folklore, however, describes a man made of fire walking from the ruins after the impact, a description now believed to be the first sighting of SCP-4612-B. Document 5th May 1779. Good Anthony, I hope this letter finds you well, my friend. I grow concerned with the others of our society. Our brethren must understand the grand scale of our endeavor. Any cost that comes forthwith will be well earned, whether in pecuniary losses or in our very blood. There is an inhuman entity that holds our lives in its grip, and we have no choice but to soil our hands if we wish our great empire to thrive. If we turn from this task, what will happen to future generations? The library has allowed our supervised review of many tomes, and I have recently found a ritual that was once used to bind a god and should suffice for our noble purpose. Please, my dear friend and collaborator, speak with the others. Remind them of our sacrifices and what we stand to gain. The consequences of our actions against our adversary will pale when compared to the great advances we can achieve for the human race. We must push on. Your friend William Henry Eckhart, Society of Yorkshire Thaumaturgy. Addendum 4 Vern 6125, Analysis Log. Attempts to relocate the corpse of SCP-4612 have failed. The entity exhibits anomalous density with an estimated mass exceeding 26,000 kilograms. The altar upon which it rests is likewise considered anomalous for its ability to bear this weight without structural failure. Director Varga has determined that on-site testing is more cost-effective than further extraction attempts. Surgically removed tissue samples possess a cellular structure based on a novel carbon-silicon composite with no match in the Foundation's biological database. Samples proved inert when exposed to variable electrical currents and alpha, gamma, and ultraviolet radiation, absorbing all energy with no signs of degradation. Visible and infrared light are not absorbed, but instead induce a rippling motion in the dorsal fin structure. Residual energies from these tests were observed being emitted from the crystalline structures in the specimen's hands, indicating they function as energy conduits. Transmission of this energy appears to be instantaneous. The ventral incision emits a Kiva radiation at significantly higher levels than the rest of the body. The presence of bloody palm prints along the incision suggests the surgical or ritual procedure was interrupted. X-ray imaging is impossible due to the entity's radiation absorption. Ultrasound and portable MRI scans, however, confirm a complete lack of internal organs, revealing only a dense matrix of fibrous muscle and a vast nervous system with large ganglia of unknown function. A proposal by Director Varga to the O5 Council for experimentation utilizing SCP-4612A's genetic material is currently pending approval. Addendum 4612-6, Psychometric Resonance Test Log. Date redacted. Personnel, Director Iona Varga, Agent Rebecca Douglas. Agent Douglas places a hand on the corpse's epidermis. 2 minutes of silence pass. It's faint. There's something there just beneath the surface, but it's being blocked. Perhaps the event was too long ago. Temporal degradation of the imprint. No, that's not it. There's enough residual psychic trauma in the stones of this hallway to give me a migraine. I have an idea. Are you squeamish? Before Agent Varga could respond, Dr. Douglas plunged both of her hands into the ventral incision up to her elbows. A sharp intake of breath was Varga's only warning before Douglas began to scream. A psychic shock wave immediately emanated from the corpse. Shattering the temporary lighting, Varga quickly activated 2 chemical light sticks, revealing Douglas, who had slumped to her knees, hands still inside the corpse, entirely unresponsive. Attempted communication with the field agent was initiated, but was immediately interrupted by a significant psionic event originating from SCP-4612A. A shimmering cobalt blue light emanated from the device, resulting in the spontaneous manifestation of multiple translucent humanoid projections throughout the chamber. One entity, tentatively identified as POI Eckhart, was observed directly over the deceased subject, brandishing what appeared to be a blade-like psionic construct. Eckhart, chanting loudly in distorted Aramaic, plunges the blade into the body, slicing along its length. He then inserts a hand into the incision, his projection grotesquely overlaying Agent Douglas's physical form. Suddenly, over 20 other voices join the chant in a cacophonous roar. Eckhart raises the bloodied knife, which begins to glow with a dull, sickening red light as the entire structure violently shakes and the ceiling starts to crumble inward. A brilliant, blinding light completely engulfs the room, followed by the deafening crash of the collapsing structure. When the glare subsides, a single stark beam of light illuminates the dust-filled chamber from above. When the light fades, a new figure, SCP-4612, stands nearby, dressed in a long cloak and a tricorn hat. Log Trancrit, Event 4612 Epsilon, a projection identified as SCP-4612-B manifested, confronting the subject, Eckhart. What have you done? Subject Eckhart responded with disorientation. What are you? The entity continued its accusation. Step away from the body of my father. Was murder not enough? You must desecrate his corpse as well? I had no idea. I did not know it was for a ritual to produce miracles for mankind. Is this your miracle? You killed the only living thing that truly knew me. It was not our intention to. SCP-4612-B interrupts by thrusting its hand through Eckhart's chest. The body is torn in half, and both halves begin to smolder and burn as they hit the floor, as the other projected figures scream. Please, mercy, Eckhart was the architect of this. We only hope to improve the lot of all mankind. You wanted to achieve a goal, and so you have. But you did not consider the consequences. The man's skin and hair ignite. For the next 12 minutes, the projection depicts SCP-4612 systematically terminating the remaining 21 figures with pyrokinetic attacks and blunt force trauma. Afterward, it kneels before the corpse in the same space occupied by Douglas. The blue light and all projections fade. Agent Douglas collapses. Addendum 4612-7, Post-Incident Report. Agent Douglas spent 5 weeks in medical recuperation, during which she was intermittently conscious. On day 36 of her recovery, surveillance footage recorded a figure consistent with SCP-4612-B manifesting inside her medical bay. Security staff were mobilized, but found no trace of the entity upon arrival. Agent Douglas was awake and alert, but bore a permanent thumbprint-shaped contusion on her forehead, which medical staff have been unable to remove. During debriefing, she reported the entity stated she was spared only because she was an investigator. Her psychometric abilities are now subject to significant interference. She reports that her senses are overwhelmed by a single repeating phrase, Eckhart died for a reason. The search for SCP-4612-B is ongoing. Further investigation into the so-called Hecaton share cycle, a term recovered from